AskReddit vibes in Diangural Big. What did the person you were interested in do to completely make you lose interest? Told me I was an okay safe bet and they knew I wasn't going anywhere, so they wanted to play the field as much as possible and see if they could do better before settling on me. Been there. Shocked Pikachu face when I asked if they were serious and then said this would be the last time we would ever speak. I said this within another thread recently, but on a first date, a gal that I was interested in asked me for $300. No, thank you, to both the request and her. I didn't even have a date, just a hookup, and afterwards this dude asked me if I would short-term co-sign a car loan on a Jaguar for his purported business partner in South America. When I started laughing at him, he called me a cunt and told me it was people like me who gave Jews a bad name. Long time ago, started seeing a very rich person. Sent a photo of dinner I had ordered on a completely average restaurant on a completely average popular neighborhood. Got a reply saying if you ever took me out to eat there, I would never see you again. Well, indeed never saw the person again. My uncle and auntie retired as millionaires at age 50 from working a tech job. They came from a fishing village, and they understand the value of going back to humble roots. They still enjoy Dunkin' Donuts since they loved frugally for a very long time. Told me about his gambling problem. Only told me because he was losing his house. Holy fuck. Would you like a smaller, more transportable red flag? Talked about himself for 2.5 hours straight. I was hoping a disruption like the food being served, orders being taken, or even a story ending would remind him to let me get a word in, but he would just go back to another story with "so, yeah, I was saying." As a bartender I've seen this happen a few times, but one incident takes the cake. The lady was so sweet and nice, arrived early and was sitting there quietly passing the time. Then I see this short bald man creepily peering through our windows, clearly trying to get a good look at her before coming in. Proceeds to spend the next 3 hours talking about his accomplishments, money, celebrities he used to run into in his old neighborhood in Nick. He was the loudest person in the place. She showed no obvious signs of disgust, but I think she was just a classy lady. I'm really hoping she didn't go out with him again. Every story she told me was about some argument, conflict, drama. And in every story she considered herself to be the paragon of virtue and honesty, while everyone around her would be vindictive, cruel, and out to get her. I recognize the behavior because my mom does the same thing, and I hate that kind of constant self-victimization. I knew a really good friend like that. Always said she had people out to get her and people who hated her for no reason. Then she stopped talking to me all at once over a very minor disagreement. I apologized when she was the one who originally hurt my feelings, and she blew me off. And now she's telling everyone in our hobby community that I'm the bad person in the situation. Keep an eye out for people who say they have problems with everyone. Usually, the common denominator is them. Went to her place to hang out. Noticed that her dog's crate in her room had poop in it. Not a fresh one that just hadn't been picked up in time. Not just one old one either that maybe somehow went unnoticed for the day. Multiple piles of poop from multiple days. Fuck that. No, poor dog. Litter. We were on a walk. Things were going great. I was totally smitten, and then she threw her empty Starbucks cup in the bush. This not only turned me off, but evoked an instant bad reaction. And I of course picked up the cup and threw it away in front of her while borderline insulting her character to her face. I probably overreacted, but regardless, I have never gone from interested to disgusted like that before, or since. Haha, when it comes to littering I have a great story about meeting my MILF for the first time. I shared a FB picture saying something about how people who litter and don't take their carts back are the worst kind of people. Mil shock reacted to it. Later that day we were all in the car and she looks back at me and says something like, "Oh no, I'm a bad person for littering," and throws her empty coffee cup out the window. I gave her a good "you're a shitty person" look. Every time she texted me and I didn't respond within 5 minutes, she would send a question mark. It was incredibly annoying. Question mark. They would spend all day making TikToks and IG posts but couldn't spare 5 seconds to at least say hi to me. We were dating at the time, so I think I deserved at least the tiniest bit of attention. Nah. No attention for you. I am BUSY. His best friend asked me to have a threesome with them in front of him. I froze, face flushed, confused and uncomfortable af. Looked at him expecting him to say literally anything. Nothing. Told his friend he's got jokes, assuming he had to be kidding. His friend asked again. He still says nothing. I lightheartedly said no thanks, I'm good off that. Stepped outside to smoke so I could cool down and process WTF just happened. Thought they must have talked about it but couldn't figure out why he wouldn't have brought it up to me himself, like YTF would his friend be the one to ask instead of him talking to me. He comes out a few minutes later mad af, accusing me of hooking up with his friend. Scary mad. Told him I didn't have the slightest interest in his friend and it was fucked he didn't speak up. Made it through the night till I could get back to my car and blocked everything. Didn't want noth. Badmouthed their ex a lot and most of the conversations we had were one-sided. I went on a date once where we both ended up bitching about our exes. I went home and slept on it. Decided the next day both that I wasn't ready to date yet, and she wasn't right for me. Neither of us should have been doing that. She slapped me in the face once in public and I have zero tolerance for that outside the bedroom. I like how outside the bedroom is specified. Being on his damn phone on social media 24/7 during meals, during conversations etc, like come on. Annoying af. He was very attractive and nice and we had things in common. But he complained about everything: work, people he knew, food and service at restaurants, etc. Also when he drove he would pulse the gas pedal instead of steadily holding it. Made for a jerky ride and was insanely annoying. We only dated for a month and I had to jump ship. I listened to her issues and troubles. So many of them were clearly self-inflicted. Poor choices, money management, and it's never her fault. Nah, I can't have those problems become my problems. Wise. When I was young, I thought that's what relationships were: you let someone else's problems become your problems. Oof. Not good. We were having a normal conversation and literally out of nowhere bro went, "If they can bleed they can breed." I had to ask if he was serious. He was. Of all the nasty shit I'm reading in the comments, this is nastiest one. Fucking you. I went to her apartment and she had poster size pictures of herself, like 5. She made me dinner and the chicken was seriously undercooked, raw, and the frozen vegetables were still frozen. Then the icing on the cake, there was no cake, was that she left room and came back and wearing slippers that she mentioned she's had forever that smelled, from across the room, of funky feet. She deserves a life sentence for that whole date. Especially with no cake being made and smelly feet. Hell no. Cheated on me again, after spending the previous 7 months faking the previous cheating incident as a rape. What the hell? How evil does someone have to be to pull shit like this? The girlfriend moved into a new apartment and dropped her cat off at the pound. Cat was a sweetheart, she had him for 5 years, and when I found out she dropped him off at the pound after asking about him, her comment was, "What's the big deal? I can always get another one." That was a big wake-up call. I didn't want to spend any time with that person. Pretty much said I was done and got the hell away from her. Adopt animals for life. You are their caretaker, and they are your best friends for life. This one breaks my heart. Told me that the idea of intimacy with me made her nauseous. This happened recently to a friend of my husband, only they have a kid together, and he's trying to be a stand-up guy. He could do so much better. Things were nice and consistent for 4 months and then they ghosted me. I didn't know sad anger could be such a strong emotion. Everyone needs to stop ghosting. It's not right and hurts 10x more. I'm a former ghoster myself, sorry world, because I couldn't communicate my feelings and was immature. Now I am communicating instead and it just feels so much better doing the right thing. His clothes smelled like he let them to rot in the washing machine and that was such a turn off. Happened 2 times with another guy, his clothes smelled funky one day and I lose interest. That smell is terrible. Happened to me one time where I moved into a new place and didn't notice that what was making my clothes smell weird was actually mold in the washer. Made everything smell gross and musky even if I dry my clothes immediately after a wash cycle. Sometimes people just become nose blind to the smell or truly don't realize it's an issue. Like the mentality of, how can a washing machine make your clothes smell bad if it's washing them? Brag about losing their virginity at a family reunion. It was not to some outsider who tagged along with another family member. I'm sorry, what? They lost their virginity with a family member at a family reunion. That's some next level family values : out on a blind date set up by friends with a ballerina. She is very pretty, even by bunhead standards. Dinner going nicely, and then she starts telling me how the Holocaust was faked and it's all the Jews' fault. Check, please. Good night. Like the girl that told me everyone gets cancer because of karma, I say okay, what about innocent little 2-year-olds with leukemia? I'm thinking I got you good, you'll have to retract now, but instead she says, them too. Spent more time talking to the 2 women at the next table than to me on our 3rd date. He was trying to make me jealous, but all he did was make them visibly uncomfortable and me completely uninterested. Told me I was playing N-word games, when I didn't drop everything in the middle of the afternoon and answer his barrage of drunken texts. Hard R, too. I'm black, he isn't. I was both amused and appalled, and I pretty much blocked him then and there. Most guys hold off on the drunken hard R until at least a week or 2 into the relationship. By saying no to me when I asked her, a common friend, out and then suddenly showing interest in me when I didn't pay any more extra attention to her. If I wanna play games, I'd use my PC instead of asking her out. Classic high school college scenario. You do this once and find out why it's not a good idea to get too close if you're not dating. I realized I didn't actually like her, I just liked the idea of being with someone. That's almost the exact line one of my exes used to break up with me. Way better than trying to find a good enough reason or trying to pick a fight so there's a reason to break up. It was my healthiest breakup and we're still great friends. So props to you for recognizing that and leaving the relationship instead of continuing to lead her on and make it worse in the future. Treated me as an option and would openly be texting with other girls from dating sites while we were spending time together. When I confronted him about it, he said we weren't committed and I shouldn't be so jealous cause I was the one he was actually hanging out with. Like he was gracing me with his presence lol. I really dislike people like this. People who view others as steps on a ladder.